If you're ambitious in trading, you should be doing these two things. Give me the next couple of minutes and I'll show you how to extract the most from your trading. The two things I share in this video have led me to having 20K weeks and making 11% last month on my automated strategies. But it wasn't always like this. I struggled with discretionary trading for over a year. I was bleeding capital, I was second guessing every decision, and I was stuck in the same patterns that kept 95% of traders losing. Then I pivoted. I moved more to systematic and algorithmic trading, and this shift led me to have my first 100K in trading profits. But here's what most traders miss after making that transition. They get comfortable, but the ambitious traders do two things differently. And in this video, I want to go over them. And I've been very lucky enough with some of the reach I've been able to gain over the years of trading. Now it's been about 6 years. I've been able to talk and even interact with some of the most successful traders really I've ever seen for the most part. Some of them doing over 9 figures and one very close to becoming maybe a billionaire in a couple of years. So while some of this is from my own story, there's also going to be a lot of elements of just some of the traders that I've seen way better, like by far better than me, and what I've seen in them and how they've been able to grow that. Now, by far, the first biggest thing is hunting for the biggest inefficiencies. Most traders compete in the most crowded markets. Think of currencies, for example. Everyone's fighting over the same scraps with very razor-thin edges. Meanwhile, inefficiencies do exist in other markets or even in sub-niches of, common markets like equities. For example, in my experience, small caps has huge volatility, and at the time when I was trading it, it lacked quite a lot of institutional attention that created a lot of clear statistical edges. And I think even nowadays it still has a pretty good statistical edge, but there are risks. You definitely have halts, you have locates, you have T12 halts, for example, so these are like news halts. But the edge at the time, and I still think sort of now, is undeniable when you have proper data. Another clear example of this is crypto markets. I've seen traders running even basic momentum strategies. While this isn't an inefficiency, this is more of a risk premium, but they've been able to outperform equities by far because of running it on a more inefficient market, let's say. There's obviously core inefficiencies as well in crypto markets. You can do amazing things like arbitrage. You can do things where you farm rewards based on activity and you can get paid outsized for that. And those sort of opportunities don't exist in other markets, let's say like currencies or even classical, equities or futures as well. The key question I've seen a lot of people ask is, where is everyone not looking? And that's often where the opportunity lives. Jim Simons actually had a rule where if it's publicly traded, liquid, and amendable to modeling, we trade it. Ideally, you just want to cast a wider net. Now, this isn't to say there's anything wrong with, farming risk premiums like I do on my future strategies with automated strategies, things like trend following, etc. in futures or equities. These still can work very well, and they have worked very well for me, but you shouldn't stop looking there. And I think even for a time for me, I became a bit complacent because I was enjoying the returns from my future strategies. They weren't, astronomical or anything like that, but I got a bit complacent, a bit comfortable. And ultimately, what you want to be doing is constantly researching and even diversifying and trying to find those other bigger inefficiencies. Just as a very small story here, I won't say his name because I don't know if he wants this kind of information out in public, but I know one trader in small caps, he got to, I think, about 1 to 2 million in profit during the kind of peak of the small cap frenzy, which was around 2021, if I remember correctly. And I've had this conversation many times with friends where I would say, if I got to 1 million in profit, 2 million in profit in a single year, especially if I was coming from, quite a small account, I probably would have stopped for the year. I would have taken my foot off the gas. I would have relaxed. I would have gone maybe on vacation. I would have bought a house or something, like that, right? But instead, he continued to risk it and continue to find bigger inefficiency because he knew the inefficiency and edge was still there. Now, you can have a whole nother conversation of, is it even right to push the gas that much, etc.? But the biggest traders that do have the biggest payoffs are often those people that are happy to keep on taking risks as long as the inefficiency or edge is there for them. And they will keep on slamming size into it. And that's ultimately what led him to grow to, 8 and then 9 figures as well. So a big part of it is constantly looking for those inefficiencies or even risk premiums, but wherever they are in the market, being able to take advantage of them, if they're a good enough opportunity, is definitely a big part of it. Now, the second one is diversify and research constantly. Here's the brutal truth. Most edges do decay. What worked last year might be very marginal this year, and the only way to stay ahead is constant expansion or constant research. Now, my approach to this is often starting small. I'll test new markets or I'll test new ideas with a very small amount of capital, normally about sub 1% of my whole portfolio. And I'll run a strategy on a new instrument, for example, for 1 to 2 months before scaling it if I actually see that there's any success or if the edge is actually present there. You can also look for structural similarities where you can run very basic strategies that would normally work, let's say, like in equities, right, on the US markets, and you can run them on newer markets, like let's say crypto, and you can get outsized returns more on it being an inefficient market and having less competition in that particular market. It's primarily the same strategy, and some will say that maybe it's a bit over a premium because you're taking on more risk, so you're getting paid higher for that, and there's definitely a truth into that. But that doesn't mean the returns are, not worth it, especially depending on how much you diversify and how much you want to allocate in your portfolio. These can be very easy upside kind of opportunities. Also, you don't need to overthink it. You don't need to become an expert in a new market before testing it. Now, there's a huge caveat there where I'm saying, like, don't, if you try and put 10% of your portfolio in a new market and you have no idea how it works, that's a terrible idea. But if you just want to test it out, try $1,000, a couple $100, etc., I think there's nothing wrong with that. And most of the time, you will learn more than what it has cost you to just try out on that new market. Start with maybe simple strategies and then let the data tell you if there's actually an edge there. For example, right now I'm exploring some crypto arbitrage opportunities. Primarily, this is around funding rates. I did some point harvesting on new DEXs. If you're not aware of what that is, DEXs are like decentralized exchanges. And right now in crypto, it's a very hot thing where there's tons of these new exchanges that are decentralized and they have a lot of point programs. And you obviously don't know which ones are going to really pay off in a high way for how much that point converts to real US, to their token or real US dollars, for example. But there's quite limited downside, especially if you can find mechanisms to harvest those points. Primarily, it's think about like farming rewards, and you're getting paid for that reward, but it is a bit of a long-term plan because you don't 100% know when their token will release or even if it will release. So there's obviously risk there as well. I'm also looking at some delta neutral strategies. This was a bit of a while ago, but this was just extra things I was kind of looking into. The most important thing here is some will work and most won't. And there's nothing wrong with that. I see a lot of people get quite disheartened that their strategy doesn't work and they just keep on hammering it to try and overfit it and try and find out, the one combination of it that's going to work. In my eyes, I view ideas as dispensable. Ideas are very cheap and often quite easy to come across, especially if you're in that kind of curiosity mind of looking around and testing out new things. The part that's sort of difficult is the resilience part, I would say, and then also the actual taking the time and testing it. Because a lot of times, like I just kind of mentioned before, I got complacent with futures. I had automated strategies running. I was still looking here and doing a bit of research, but I wasn't trying to expand. I wasn't trying to look at new markets and find the biggest inefficiencies I could. But the ones that actually do work will be able to, be added, hopefully low correlation or uncorrelated returns to your portfolio or my portfolio. And I think a reason this sums it up so well is Ken Griffin said in one of the kind of podcasts I think he was on, we're in the research business first and foremost. Trading is simply how we monetize our research. Now, whatever you want to say about Ken Griffin, I know a lot of people have hot takes on it. I still think this is a great way to view trading, especially if you're systematic or, wanting to be a systematic trader. The bottom line is ambitious traders don't get comfortable. They're always asking, where are the biggest inefficiencies? What markets am I not trading that I should be, or what opportunities do I see out there that I'm not actually taking advantage of? How can they diversify their edge? Primarily, it's expanding, exploring, and diversifying, and then obviously doubling down on the ones that are actually working and keeping the gas on when that opportunity is hot. There are edges out there. They just often are in places others aren't looking, or places people have dismissed. Now, if you actually want to diversify into crypto with a systematic approach, including my strategies and my own research on inefficiencies, feel free to click the first link in the description. I can see how I can help.